Interesting conversation about traffic generated by Schlitterbahn. The city has, as part of our development services requirements, we analyze each development. And there's a formula based on engineering terms that are looked at all across the country. And the impact of Schlitterbahn's traffic is negligible. It is so small based on the road systems around it that they are not actually required to do a study. Again, for instance, if you have a Walmart at an intersection, we'll say you need to do a study to see what impact that Walmart has on the traffic and if we need to add lanes. Statistically, the impact of Schlitterbahn is so negligible based on the streets and highways around it, they're not required to do an impact study. We still ask them to do it, and they've done that. In simple math, they're trying to get about on average 3,000 people a day. They'll be open 100 days, so that's 350,000 people a year. A lot of people. On average, a Schlitterbahn family is 3 people. So 3,000 cars is 3,000 people is 1,000 cars. Based on Park Road 22, 1,000 cars. Keep in mind they open at 10 in the morning and they close at 8 at night. So at 10 in the morning, all the traffic from the island is going out. Very little is going off the island. Very little is coming into the island. And then at 8 o'clock at night, when everybody's home, there's very little traffic off the island. So it really works. It fills a gap in availability on those roads. It's a long explanation, but the bottom line is we have looked at it, and it is the understanding of all parties involved that the impact is negligible. Asking about what's going on in Faro Valley. Had a conversation with a potential developer that the neighborhood has met with. They continue to look at the possibility of building an apartment complex on Ennis Jocelyn, parkland around that complex, and then single family deeper into the golf course. It requires removal of the deed restriction. Lawyers involved say it takes about 70 to 75% of the property owners affected by that, meaning they live on the golf course, to vote to remove the deed restriction. Furthermore, there's a conversation that says if you really want to provide protection from the lender, who may lend $15 million and then have to deal with a lawsuit on that deed restriction, that you pass state legislation. That's happened in other cities. A lot of that's happened in Houston. Well, they'll pass legislation that says if you can prove 70% support the removal of the deed restriction, that it is legally removed. I'm not aware of any legislation pending today on that site. So I think they're still interested. I just think they've slowed it down because they have sensed they've sensed opposition that they need to work through. A lot of conversation about the growth over the next 10 years. The state demographer says we're going to grow jobs at a rate that meets or exceeds the state average, which most people don't remember a time when Corpus grew jobs at a rate above the state average. Tens, hundreds, billions of dollars of investment. I heard a conversation today about another $500 million project in our area. The perception is Eagle Ford's here to stay for many years. In fact, there may be another play deeper than the Eagle Ford. The question is, do we have the infrastructure to handle that growth? And I would submit to you, yes. It's water, wastewater, streets, and stormwater drainage. We're going to have a conversation about water. We're all in drought. We know we're in a drought. We have a game plan. And as I say, we're going to be pot committed to that game plan this summer. We want to put the additional pipeline, we call it Mary Roads 2, which will go up to the Colorado River. We have the second oldest water rights on the Colorado River. It's 35,000 acre-feet. We feel like it's perfected, but we also feel like, once we get a pipe in it, you really can't take it away. And we'll buy those pumps this summer. And when you buy those pumps, you're committed to do the project because they're so expensive. So stay tuned to that. So we think we're going to have water to provide for this growth. I think the streets are, of course, we're talking about street management, street maintenance, but we do think we have the street infrastructure for growth. Wastewater, we have plenty of capacity in our wastewater system. And then the last one is stormwater drainage, and we spend money on that on an annual basis. The simple math is we do have the capacity to handle the growth over the next 10 years. We had a presentation on water at the council meeting this week. The reality is that we talk about safe yield in Corpus, which means at the end of every year, based on how much we project to come in and how much we use, we have 75,000 acre-feet left over. That's about 30% of our supply. Based on that safe yield, we believe we have the water capacity today to move this community forward. There are major economic development projects that are going to require additional water. That's one of the reasons we need to get the Mary Roads Pipeline Phase 2 in, because it could be billions, $10, $15 billion worth of investment in our community and thousands of great paying jobs. And in addition to that, we're looking at brackish desalination. That's a project that we're considering now. We're looking at well water, so you dig wells along the Mary Roads Pipeline that we can extract groundwater, put it in the Mary Roads Pipeline. So the answer to water supply is yes. There is nothing that we're not looking at, that we're not willing to do. Some of it's environmentally sensitive. If we have, you can, on heavy rain events, as water comes down the river, you can divert it and hold it. However, what impact does that have on the bays and estuaries? And we're very sensitive to that. So we're trying to take into account all the environmental issues. But we feel like we have a good game plan going forward to provide this community with water both today and in the future.